Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vintage Markets Inside the Charts. My name is Tamar Mehr from Trade with Precision. So last week we got wholesale inflation that has accelerated in the US in the month of July the most in the past 3 years. So producer price index increased by 0.9% from the previous month. Now this could suggest that companies are passing along the tariff imports cost to their customers. And with lower consumer sentiment and retail sales that came on Friday, we saw US stocks pulling back from their highs. And what I've got here is the chart of the Dow Jones on the weekly chart. And as we can see, we came back into the previous all-time high. We actually had some nice touches at that level. We broke through that level, however, rejected it immediately. And now we're sitting below that level. What we do have here is a new uptrend forming here on the weekly chart, and we do have convergence here on the momentum indicators. Now taking a look here on the monthly, and we can see that we simply pull back into the averages on the monthly chart and pushed higher. We do have the moving averages 10, 20, 50 all fanning all in the correct order for an uptrend. However, we do have currently divergence here on the momentum indicators. So what I'm looking for, and let's take a look at the daily chart. We can see here on the daily the break and then the reject of that move. I'm looking for a bit more of a pullback. It's been a strong buying pressure, a bit of release of the buying pressure, a pullback into the 44,500, and another attack at this all-time high level around the 45,150 area. If we'll take a look here on the weekly, we can see that we moved away from the averages. So another higher low here on the weekly chart would allow for more compressions of price underneath this level before a continuation of this move. Moving on to the Nasdaq, and I want to start with the daily chart. Now, on the daily chart, we do have an uptrend. We pushed to a higher high and currently pulling back. We do have a bit of flat to diverge here on the momentum indicators on the previous highs. Now, taking a look here on the weekly, and we can see the weekly is pushing higher. We are overextended, and we also converging here to flat on the momentum indicators. Now, moving into the monthly, and the monthly is very overextended, and we also currently have some divergence here on the momentum indicators. So for potential opportunities on the Nasdaq, I would like to see a deeper pullback somewhere in and around this 22,000 area, work out the divergence and work out this higher time frame overextension. Next, I'd like to move to some Japanese yen crosses. So we saw Japan's economy accelerating faster than expected, and that saw the Nikkei's breaking into new high and the Japanese yen strengthening. So what I've got here is the chart of Aussie yen on the monthly chart, and this one is now in a downtrend. We've got a high, low, lower high, and a lower low, and currently we're pulling back. We're sitting in the sell zone, the area between the 10 and the 20 moving averages, but we don't have the 50 yet in the correct order for a downtrend. What we do have is convergence here on the momentum indicators, and what I also like is that this spike to the bottom has also broke this previous higher low. Now taking a look here on the weekly, and we can see the weekly, the level that I've marked in and around the 95.60 area. This level has also been a support level in the past, so it's quite a strong level on this market. I like the fact that we broke below it and now we're pulling back and currently haven't been able to break above this previous high. So what I'm looking for is sign of continuation of the higher time frame direction. Now, a break below the bearish rejection candle that we had here for last week will not be enough because we still have this one this green candle that could potentially turn into the next higher low. So I'd like to see compressions of price. You can see we basically just pull back and now we're sitting at that level. So either compression above this level, lower highs, equal lows before a potential break, or preferably a break below this level, below this low, and then another pullback to test this level from below. So this is in case the Japanese yen is gonna get stronger. However, if we're going to see a weaker Japanese yen, then I'll be looking at the Swissy against the yen. So let's start here with the monthly chart. And here on the monthly, we are in a very strong uptrend. We are quite overextended though. So it could pull back a bit more, potentially into the 180 area here, the previous swing high. We'll take a look here on the weekly. We can see that the weekly is in an uptrend and we are sitting at the top of the buy zone. Now, if we take a look here on the daily, we can see that as higher time frame pulling back, lower time frame tend to change direction. But what we have done here is basically gone sideways below this 183.70 area. So what I'll be looking for a continuation, so a push higher, I'll be looking for a break above this 183, keeping in mind that the higher time frame are still very overextended and we can then potentially see a pullback all the way to the 180. Happy trading, everyone. Bye for now.